Hi, you're on the Reddit Confessions channel. There was a candle burning in the bathroom again. Middle of the day, windows shut. Her favorite lavender scent floating through the hallway like a warning. That's how I knew something was off before she even spoke. Darla always lit that candle when she was about to do something she knew would hurt. I stood there holding a grocery bag with almond milk and her dumb oat crackers, and she just looked at me with this weird calm on her face, like she'd practiced the speech in her head 100 times. She didn't wait, didn't even let me sit down. Silas, she said, I'm doing something for me this week. I need clarity. So I'm initiating a no-contact period for 1 week. I blinked. Hey, what? No phone calls, no texts, no meals together, no talking unless it's urgent. I need to see if you're, you know. She waved her hand like she was trying to summon a more polite word. Still someone I want to be with. That sentence broke something in me so quietly I didn't even flinch. She said it like I was a dusty pair of shoes in the back of her closet. I said, Are you serious? Darla smiled. This is healthy. I need to rediscover myself, reconnect with who I am. I'm not saying you're the problem. I just don't know if you're the solution. She always talks like a Pinterest board during a nervous breakdown. I didn't argue because deep down I knew arguing with her was like throwing punches into a fog. So I nodded like a good boy, like a man being slowly erased. She packed a small overnight bag. Not a suitcase, just enough to say, I'm still in control. She left me with silence, a cold coffee cup, and a week to figure out what I had apparently already lost. That night, I didn't sleep. I kept replaying everything. Our wedding in that ugly garden she liked. Our cat that died last year. The jokes she used to make when I messed up pancakes. Where did it all go? Was it me? Was I boring? Was I too available? Too emotional? I checked her socials. She wasn't posting. Not yet. But something told me this week of clarity wasn't a solo trip. Then day 1, 11:02 a.m., my phone buzzed from Darla. Can we talk? I made a mistake. I want to take it back. One day. Took 1 day for her to want it all reversed. But it was already too late because in that 24 hours, I learned something she never meant to show me, and it made everything worse. By the time I read her message, I made a mistake. I want to take it back. I was already halfway down a rabbit hole I never planned to dig. See, when Darla left, she didn't take her laptop. And the thing is, she usually never leaves without it. She once drove back 10 minutes in the rain just to grab it before going to a spa day. But not this time. I didn't open it to snoop. Not at first. I opened it to look for the grocery list she had typed out. But the screen came up unlocked. No password prompt, just a welcome map. And maybe that's what she wanted. Maybe she hoped I'd look. The first thing I saw was a messenger window. Her conversation with someone saved under the name Olive. Except Olive sent selfies, shirtless selfies, and voice notes. Male voice notes. The messages weren't romantic, not directly, but they dripped with familiarity. Inside jokes, private complaints, late-night timestamps. One line read, "This week will show me everything if he doesn't change." Well, I already have clarity. I sat there frozen, not from rage, not even jealousy, just shame, like I'd been kept outside while they wrote my script for me. She said she needed space to find herself, but what she really meant was she needed to test me while someone else stood by waiting to score. I didn't respond to her message right away. I just sat on the couch, her candle still faintly burning upstairs, and let the silence she wanted surround me. But this time, I was the one choosing it. And then, around 4 p.m., she walked back in the house. One day, that's all it took. She didn't even make it 24 hours. She looked at me with these wet, fragile eyes like she wanted me to hug her. Like I was supposed to be relieved she was home. I overreacted, she said. It wasn't fair to you. I don't know. I just needed a moment. You understand, right? I asked her one thing. Who's Olive? Her lips parted, but no sound came out. That's when I realized she wasn't sorry for the idea. She was sorry I saw the backup plan. She stood in the doorway, blinking like the question had caught her off guard. "Who's Olive?" I repeated, softer this time, as if saying it quietly would make her answer it honestly. Her mouth opened, then shut like she was flipping through excuses in her head, but couldn't settle on one that wouldn't immediately collapse. "It's not what you think," she finally said. I hate that sentence. It's what people say when it's exactly what you think, but they're banking on you being too emotionally exhausted to fight it. "Then tell me what it is," I said. She walked over to the kitchen counter, poured herself water with shaking hands like she was the one being betrayed. "He's just someone I met in a mindfulness group. It's nothing serious. We talk about spiritual clarity, about our relationships. It's emotional support." I leaned back in the chair and stared at her. "So, he's a stranger giving you relationship advice about me while sending you shirtless selfies and voice notes at 2 a.m.? She flinched. I wasn't yelling. I wasn't even crying. I think that unnerved her more than anything. "You told me you needed space to think, but you didn't tell me you had someone else waiting to fill the gap while I stayed silent like an idiot, hoping you'd come back." She set the glass down hard. Too hard. "You don't understand. I needed a mirror, someone to show me what I deserve." "Did he show you that before or after you called me a placeholder?" She froze. That was it. The word placeholder. That's what I'd become to her. A temporary situation until something shinier felt more certain. She wasn't crying. She wasn't angry. She was calculating like she was weighing whether it was even worth continuing the lie. Finally, she said it. It was only one message. I regretted it. I laughed bitterly. "Darla, I read the entire thread. There were weeks of messages. You didn't regret it. You regretted getting caught." She turned her back to me. Maybe to hide her face. Maybe to stop herself from saying something worse. "Do you want a divorce?" she asked, her voice barely a whisper. I didn't answer. Not because I didn't have one, but because I knew she didn't want to be the one to say it first. And the scariest part, neither did I. I stayed in the chair for a long time after she asked if I wanted a divorce. Long enough for the kitchen clock to tick into the next hour. Darla didn't sit. She just stood there, her back to me, arms crossed like she was bracing for a storm, but couldn't tell which direction it was coming from. "You already left," I finally said. "You just didn't take your stuff." She turned her head slightly. "That's not fair, is it?" I asked. "You created distance, gave yourself a break from me, tried out what it felt like to be without me while keeping the safety net tied around your ankle." She didn't respond. And honestly, silence was becoming her favorite weapon. She used to fill every room with noise, opinions, jokes, complaints, dreams. Now every pause felt like punishment, like I was supposed to guess what version of her I was dealing with today. I didn't sleep that night, not even a little. I lay awake in the guest room, staring at the cracked ceiling, thinking about how many versions of this woman I'd been in love with. The girl who used to fall asleep on my chest while we watched horror movies. The woman who danced barefoot in the kitchen during thunderstorms. And now the stranger, stone-faced, guarded, and layered in half-truths. By morning, she'd made pancakes. Just like that, as if flipping batter on a pan could flip reality, too. "You should eat," she said softly. "You've barely touched food since Monday." I didn't touch the plate. "Did you message him again?" She looked down. "No." "Did he message you?" Pause. "Yes, of course he did. Guys like that don't walk away. They wait. They know the cracks and they dig their fingers into them." I pushed the plate aside. "I need the truth, Darla." "Are you in love with him?" She didn't answer. Instead, she whispered, "I hate that you make me feel guilty for wanting to feel alive." That was the moment it hit me. Her apology yesterday wasn't about what she did to me. It was about the shame she felt for still needing me. And that kind of apology, That's the one that poisons everything. That morning, after the pancake stunt and her half-hearted confessions, I went out for a walk. I didn't say anything. I just grabbed my keys and left. The air outside felt colder than it should have for October, but I welcomed the sting. It reminded me I still had skin, something Darla seemed to have forgotten. I didn't have a destination. I walked past the coffee shop where we used to spend Sunday mornings, past the bookstore where she once begged me to buy her a $26 hardcover she never even opened. Every step felt like a rewind. Every corner reminded me of a version of us that no longer existed. And the worst part? She seemed fine, like guilt was just another emotion she could rearrange to fit her narrative. When I got back, she was watching TV, some talk show about reclaiming feminine power or whatever. I stood there in the doorway waiting for her to acknowledge me. She didn't, just muted the volume slightly and said, "You've been gone a while." "Yeah," I said. "Needed some clarity." She turned then, eyes scanning me like she was trying to figure out if I was about to cry, scream, or leave. But I had nothing left to show her. I wasn't looking for a fight. I was looking for the truth beneath her performance. I asked, "Did you want me to fail the test? Is that what this was?" Her brows drew together. "What test? This space thing? The week? The silence? Did you hope I'd mess it up so you'd have an excuse to leave?" She didn't answer. She just looked down, rubbed her temple, and sighed like I was the one complicating everything. Then she said, "You're making this harder than it has to be." I let out a bitter laugh. "You gave me 7 days to prove I was worth keeping, but after 28 hours, you already broke your own rule. You didn't even give yourself enough time to pretend you were serious." That stung her, I think. For a second, she looked like she might cry. But instead of apologizing, she said the one thing I never expected. "I thought you'd be grateful I came back." That's when I realized her guilt wasn't meant to rebuild anything. It was meant to silence mine. The next morning, she acted like we were starting over, as if everything from the past week had just been a miscommunication. Her betrayal, my breakdown, the ghost of Olive hovering between us. She came into the kitchen wearing my old college sweatshirt, the one she used to steal when she wanted comfort. It felt performative now, like she was trying to rewind us to some nostalgic version of ourselves that didn't exist anymore. "I was thinking," she said, setting a mug of coffee in front of me. "We should take a weekend trip, just the two of us, no phones, a reset." A reset. You don't press restart on a game you've been secretly playing with someone else. I didn't touch the coffee. "You're trying to fix the wrong thing," I said flatly. "You keep painting over cracks without even looking at what's causing them." She sat down across from me, folding her hands like she was in a therapy session. "Okay, then tell me what you need." I stared at her for a long second. "I need honesty. I need to not be plan B while you figure out who gives you more butterflies. I need to know you're not just staying because the affair didn't pan out the way you hoped." Her mouth tightened. She was quiet again. That same silence she used as a shield. And then she said, "I never wanted him. I wanted to feel wanted." That line, that single selfish sentence, it wasn't an apology. It was a justification dressed in self-pity. I leaned back. "You didn't feel wanted because you stopped letting me close to you. You built walls, then blamed me for standing outside." She blinked, clearly stunned that I wasn't folding like I used to. Then came the tears, big, heavy ones that hit her cheeks fast. And I couldn't tell if they were from guilt, fear, or just the realization that I wasn't playing along anymore. "I made a mistake," she whispered. "I thought you'd just take me back. I thought you'd be grateful I didn't leave." That was it. That was her version of remorse. Not because of what she did, but because her plan didn't go the way she imagined. That night, I told her I needed time, not the kind she used to punish me with. Silent treatment dressed up as spiritual space. No, I needed real time to breathe, to think, to stop spinning in the chaos she kept pretending was love. I slept in the guest room again. Door shut, phone off. I didn't want to hear her crying in the hallway. I didn't want her sadness to soften me. She had already weaponized enough feelings. I wasn't giving her mine again. But around 2 a.m., I woke up with this gnawing sense that something wasn't over. You ever get that feeling like your mind is tugging at a thread even while your body's begging you to rest? That was me. So I got up quietly and went back to her laptop. I didn't want to be that guy. The guy who checks, who snoops, who invades privacy. But something deep in my chest whispered, she's still hiding something. Turns out she was in her archived messages, not deleted, just hidden. Was a single thread she forgot to clean up. A message from Olive sent the day she asked for space. Not before, not after, that exact day. It said, he agreed. 1 week of no contact. I'm free to see you Friday night. Hotel's booked. Can't believe it's finally happening. My hands went cold. I stared at that message. Not blinking, not breathing. I thought it was an emotional thing. Maybe some flirtation she regretted. But this was coordinated, planned, deliberate. She didn't just test me. She scheduled my replacement. And then came the next message from 3 hours later. He's been quiet all day. I think he suspects, but honestly, I don't care. I need this. I deserve this. I sat there in the dark, the light from the screen making the rest of the room feel like a movie scene. And in that moment, I wasn't angry. I wasn't even heartbroken. I was humiliated. All this time, I thought I was losing her slowly. Turns out she'd already left. All that was left now was the cleanup. I closed the laptop slowly, carefully, like I was sealing a coffin. Not because I was afraid she'd wake up and catch me, but because something inside me had just died, and I didn't want to make any noise in its burial. The next morning, I didn't confront her with rage. No yelling, no dramatic accusations. I simply sat across the table, looked her in the eyes, and said, "You made a reservation at a hotel while asking me to disappear." She froze, didn't even try to deny it. Her lips parted like she had a script prepared. But for once, she didn't use it. She just nodded, then whispered, "I never thought you'd find it. I wasn't supposed to." I said, "You wanted me to be quiet long enough to make your guilt feel manageable." She started crying again, but I wasn't moved this time. Her tears felt like a habit, like something she did when the truth felt too sharp. "I'm sorry," she said for the 100th time. I thought I needed something else. But the moment I got it, it felt empty. I came back because I realized I already had everything I needed. You. That should have made me feel good. Instead, it made me feel used. Still, I didn't throw her out. Not immediately. I didn't seek revenge. I didn't post her screenshots. I didn't burn her clothes or key her car or announce it to the world. I just let the truth sit between us like a broken clock, frozen on the exact minute everything changed. Over the next few weeks, something strange happened. I didn't fall apart. I didn't crumble like I thought I would. I started running again. I picked up a guitar I hadn't touched in years. I started sleeping better, laughing even, not because I was healed, but because I was finally done begging someone to see me. Eventually, Darla moved out. No drama, no legal battle, just quiet boxes and short goodbyes. I haven't heard from her since, but sometimes when I pass that old hotel downtown, I smile. Not out of spite, but because I remember the exact moment I stopped being someone's safety net and started becoming my own anchor. Have you ever realized someone only came back because Plan B fell apart? What would you have done in my shoes? Drop your stories in the comments. We'd love to hear your perspective. And don't forget to like, subscribe, and share your thoughts here on Reddit Confessions, where every story starts with a moment you never saw coming and ends with the strength you didn't know you had.